Hello, my name is Nata and I would like to introduce you my course Understanding UX. I'm sure that it would be really useful not only for UX researchers, but also for designers, product managers, and different specialists in IT. Who am I? I'm the lecturer in the world's top university. And also I lead different international projects in UX research and UX in general. So I hope I can advise you some very useful tools, some very useful tips, and some insights maybe in this sphere. I hope it would be really useful. So let's start with the key points about UX. First of all, what is UX? UX is user experience, which involves all aspects of interaction with product or service. And of course, important to understand the difference between UX and UI, because I wouldn't say it's only the picture, but user experience it is about interaction and satisfaction. So, for example, if it's not user-friendly, it's about user experience. If you understand that the button is red and it's not, I don't know, beautiful and good for this interface, it's about UI. Then, key features about user experience. And of course, we're talking about accessibility, efficiency, and intuitiveness. Because if you miss these key points, these features, your interface is not so user-friendly and it could be really confusing. If we're talking about UX specialist, UX roles, there were so many roles actually, like a UX engineer, UX writer, UX researcher. In our course, free course, of course, we're talking about UX research. So we will talk about research, prototyping, and then analyzing all data. After talking with respondents or talking to data, like numbers and different data from different tools like Maze or UIZard and so on. Because actually research is very important to make your designs, your interfaces more useful, more user-friendly, and actually more expensive for your clients and for your users. So what will you gain from completing this free course, knowing this information and being with me these 4 lessons? Okay, the first thing, learn how to conduct a UX interface audit on your own product, your own interface design, or maybe your case. So I think it's very useful because sometimes courses are too abstract, so you don't understand how to use this information in your work, in your, I don't know, freelance work or as employee. So yeah, we will work with your own product or service. Then we will understand that beautiful doesn't always mean user-friendly. Unfortunately, yeah, and it's a main dilemma when you think about attractiveness of your interface and about to make your interface user-friendly. And sometimes there's a big difference between these points. So then we will discover the history of UX. So where it all started and what airplanes have to do with it. A little secret. Also, we will talk about how to explore the psychological traits of the human body. It can act in surprising ways. And of course, it's very important in your understanding of UX research, user experience in general. Then we will test your products, your services. If you don't have any interfaces, designs, or cases, of course, we will suggest a new thing. Then we will enjoy not only product development process, but also how effortlessly you'll be able to analyze data and interfaces. So I think it's also very interesting thing because, okay, for example, you have data, but what to do with it and how to use this information very effortlessly in your work. So, why do you need this information and these insights? Maybe the reason one, of course, make smarter decisions, because of course sometimes we have like um, opinion about something, about users, about clients, about designs, interfaces, but actually it's only one our subjective opinion. And sometimes it's really crucial to know the real picture. So it's better to know more ways to understand your audience, your target audience, or your clients, user, and so on. So basing your design choices on solid data, not just guesswork. So that's it means your designs will hit the mark every time. So your designs won't be only beautiful or, I don't know, interesting, but also really user friendly. The next one, reason two, truly understand your users. Sometimes it's really difficult to understand your audience. For example, if you start or you're just launching your project, your product, service. But if you understand your audience, you understand what to do and how to work with your audience, pros and cons of their behavior, and also different needs of your audience. Every person is really different, so you should know your audience, not your, I don't know, maybe competitors, but it's also very useful. But it's really important. And next one is design with confidence. With UX research, you know what works and why. So you want to useless steps maybe in your designs interfaces. So it's also very interesting and useful. Next one, collaborate like pro. Speak the same language as your team and stakeholders. And actually, if you understand how to talk to your stakeholders and how to conduct UX research, it's a very big plus to your career, to your portfolio CV, because you understand your stakeholders understand that you are a professional. So it's also very important and very useful. Then keep improving. Of course, UX research isn't a one and done deal. Continuously gather feedback and refine your designs to keep them relevant and user friendly. So actually, if you collect data continuously, it's the big plus in your career for your design interfaces and products. And next one, solve the right problems. Sometimes we think or we try to guess what problems our audience have, but sometimes we do mistakes because of that. That's why UX research helps you to understand the real problems of your audience. Next one, boost your career. I'm sure that UX research is very useful step in your career to talk to people and explain them why your design is this. So yeah, and almostly last one, but build credibility. When your design decisions are backed by research, you gain trust and respect from your team and clients. And align with business goals. UX research is not only about users and clients, it's also about the business. Of course, you should know that there is a difference between users' goals and businesses' goals. Unfortunately, sometimes big gap between them. But we will try to mix that, match that in our course, in our research work. So, and create accurate personas and journeys. It's very useful for your actually portfolio because mostly stakeholders try to understand why your design is this and how the audience works with that. So it's also very important. Be the voice of the user. It's also interesting because the most part of stakeholders doesn't work with the audience and actually doesn't know about their audience. So you could be really voice of your users, clients, and be like a bridge between your users and the business. Then enhance usability. Of course, maybe you're the perfect designers, could be more user-friendly. It would be more, it would be better for your career, for your interfaces. And last one, of course, drive innovation. It's not the last, but our last reason, but very important reason is drive innovation. Research encounters and met needs and new opportunities. So sometimes, of course, you understand the problems of your users, but sometimes data is really, it could be really specific, like very, very deep insights. So it's also very useful and very potential for better designs, better interfaces for your audience. So yes, stakeholders be like, sometimes really, I like the yellow one better. Was the user problem? Yeah, I think it's like this. Sorry, if some stakeholders are on our course. So introduction to UX research or UX user experience, and the most popular picture, I think, user experience in design. Yeah, if we have the best way to solve our problem, of course, we will use that, not design decisions, unfortunately. So, definition of user experience encompasses all aspects of users' interaction with the product or service, including ease of use, satisfaction, and perception. So, of course, about difference, more deeper, the difference between UX and UI. And if we're talking about user experience and application, it's more physical and digital products. And application in UI, it's digital products only, actually. Focus, the full experience from a user's first contact to the last. And if we're talking about UI, so visual touch points that allows users to interact with the product. In the future courses and future lessons, we're talking about CX, customer experience. It's not a thing, but it's also very important and interesting. Then, user experience creates structural design solutions for pain points. So we have some, for example, pains or problems, and we should solve them. If we're talking about UI, it creates combinations of typography, color palettes, buttons, animations, and imaginary. Mostly, the biggest problem is mostly we're talking about UI and we forget about user experience and research. So in result, in user experience, we products that delight users with their effectiveness, and if we're talking about UI, products that delight user aesthetically. So really color and maybe the skeleton of the design of interface. It's also very important. I wouldn't say that it's something like the second thing, but it's also very important, like user experience. Don't forget about user experience. So UX and UI is something very complex. Then we're talking about examples. For example, we have Amazon website. And if we're talking about UI, it's visual elements like very big banner, green banner, with most loved college funds under 25. But if we're talking about user experience, ease of product search, fast delivery, customer support. And actually, user experience, it's about website. Customer experience, it's about from the, I don't know, your minting with the product and until I don't know, you finish working with this product. Like if we're talking about Amazon, you know about Amazon, and then you have the product or the service, I don't know, book, cap, bag, and something else. So next, we're talking about this website and of course difficult navigation and overloaded interface. And I can't say that the UI of this website is bad. It's actually okay, but now there are so many options to choose, and if you have a lot of options to choose, it's very difficult to make this choice. That's why it's very difficult to navigate. Actually, our memory can remember not more than 4 or 5 points or options in the menu. So next one, design features in UX. And yeah, examples. Navigation. There are so many actually things. Navigation, user control, feedback, content strategy, and so on. So it's really difficult to understand these things, but we will try. And my question is, what person, for example, can conduct A/B tests? And the second question is, who builds in surface architecture? Let's try to answer these questions in the bottom, and you can stop the video. So, answer, of course, answers. It could be, but it's not necessary. UX researcher, because UX researcher thinks about navigation, information, architecture, and so on. But there are so many differences in your role and your opportunities, your duties. It depends on your company, your sphere, and so on. Because, for example, if you're the one specialist in your company, like there are some people, manager, programmer, and you, so of course you will be a UX writer, UX engineer, UX researcher, and a lot of things. But if, for example, you are working in a big company, it's about UX research, and UX research, it's about research, quantitative and qualitative. And sometimes about analytics like A/B tests or collecting data from different tools like Redash and so on. So, but it's rare, really rare. So, who are these people? What are they responsible for? I would like to say, for example, I want to give you some roles like UX writer, UX engineer, UX researcher, UX designer. Could you write your opinion about duties of these people in comments? I'll be waiting. Thank you. So, the answer. What's the difference between these people, these roles, and how does it work? So, the first one, UX designer. Actually, I think it's the most important role in spite of I'm UX researcher. The UX designer is responsible for creating user-centered designs that are intuitive, efficient, and enjoyable. Sometimes UX designers should conduct UX research, of course. It depends on your company, sphere, and your desire. The next one, UI designer. The UI designer focuses on the visual aspects of a product's interface. So actually, in the company should be two roles: UX designer, UI designer. But sometimes it's mixed, like UX, UI designer. And yeah, this is the way to solve this problem. Then we're talking about accessibility specialist. Accessibility specialist ensures that the product is usable by people with various disabilities. It's also very important, and very often people forget about that because there's different diseases, and you should understand that it's very important that every person could use your product or service. Then, information architect is responsible for structuring and organizing the content and navigation of the product. Actually, sometimes it could name like content manager. Uh, so many names, but the real picture in the company I have worked, maybe last year, we had two content managers, and they worked as professionals in content and structuring information on the interfaces. Then content strategist. Okay. Oh, of course. Before meet yes, information architect or content manager, we should know how to work with content in general. Like what is the strategy of our information? What are our goals? What we want to achieve? So yeah, content strategist. That UX writer, I love these people because they craft the micropiece such as button labels, error messages, and instructional text within the product. And sometimes, really sometimes, you should understand, I don't know, the tiny things in your interfaces, and UX writer could help you with that. Then front-end developer, and of course it's about interfaces and the picture of the interface, but it's more about the programmer. Next level, I think. UX researcher. Now I'm thinking that UX researcher is something like really the bridge between users, clients, and business or your team. So maybe sometimes it's like operation work, but it's also very important. You conduct UX research, different types of research, different methods like usability tests, interviews, in-depth surveys, calls sometimes, and A/B testing, card sorting, and so many different things. I like my work. And yeah, last one, visual designer. Actual visual designer, it's maybe X role. Now it's UX UI designer, mostly, or UI designer. Focuses on the aesthetic aspects of the product. Sometimes it's someone very creative and I don't know, professional, of course. Sometimes I can meet fights between visual designer and UX researcher because sometimes there's so many differences between them. So we're talking about psychological characteristic of users. So why we have these design laws and how does it work on interfaces? The first one, human memory. Actually very important thing in practice. A chunk could be a single number, a letter, a word, or a more complex concept like a familiar phrase. So this principle is often applied in areas like design, information processing, and communication to structure information. Sorry, last research was, okay, sacrificed maybe, on the subject that it could be a mistake that our memory can remember or can work with 7 plus minus 2 elements on interface. Actual information 4, 5 elements on interface. That's why very big, long list or menu, it's very, very complicated for user. Then, for example, remember these numbers in 5 seconds, only 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let's try to understand how many numbers did you remember. Okay, there are some examples about human memory, and I offer you to read that here by your own. And we will start with attention. For example, there is a service, a Craigslist, very old service, but still very popular. Short-term memory is limited, you remember? Minimize information on the screen. So we have so many lists and so really big menu. And then it's more complicated to remember and to understand which category you need. So it takes a lot of time, and it's also not good for your interface. Then, motility. Touch targets, gestures and controls, error prevention, device interaction, accessibility, and physical feedback. Very important on your interface. And how does it work with with interfaces? So the first one, bad navigation. For example, Zara. I can say that this website is bad. It's very creative, but it's very difficult to understand how to work with that. So this is the point when creativeness may be the main thing in this interface, and the creators forgot about the users. So eBay also very difficult. There are so many categories. You don't understand how to work with this list menu, and so many different layers in this website. It's also difficult. Of course, eBay is, I don't know, one of the most popular website and very useful website, but it could be really more user-friendly. Then, fashion or UX specialists. Pros. Of course, pros. Impactful work. So mostly you can see how your work influenced on the product and how was it great. Then high demand. UX design is in high demand across various industries, from tech to healthcare to e-commerce. So as more companies recognize the importance of user experience, job opportunities continue to grow. Then creative problem solving. Actually, there are some main methods of research, but also you can mix them. You can create something new, which could be really helpful and more helpful maybe for your product and for interfaces. Then diverse skill set. Yeah, sometimes I realize that I can be anyone, really anyone. I can be a psychologist, I can be an analyst, I can be product manager, I can be designer, and so on. So from one hand, it's very complicated, but the other hand, it's really interesting. Every day I can have new tasks and new sphere to plunge into. I like it, really like. Then collaborate work environment. UX specialists often work in teams with other designers, developers, product managers, and stakeholders. So this collaboration can be energizing and provide opportunities to learn from others. So from analysts, from designers, from product managers, and then you could be anyone, really. So, last one, user-centered focus. Of course, it's interesting being maybe painter, designer with your own vision, but also very important to understand your audience, your clients, and your users. So I think it's also one of the pros. Cons. Yes, I think there are some. Constantly evolving field. UX research or user experience development is a rapidly changing industry. Yeah. Which means staying updated with the latest trends. So you should, I don't know, study every day, every month, constantly, really. High expectations and the pressure. Clients and stakeholders often have high expectations for user experience. For example, they not always understand how long could be, I don't know, our research continues, like continue, yeah. Because sometimes some researches could be very, very long, like 2-3 months, but for stakeholders, it's so strange because they think that it could take like 1-2 days, and sometimes it's too difficult to explain why not. So yeah, it's also one of the cons. Subjective feedback. Also, of course, specifically about qualitative data, when, for example, you had 10, 12 respondents, and then you should make decisions, you should analyze data. And for stakeholders, it's something like, what? Only 10, only 12 people? No, it's not interesting. And if, for example, only one person told that, oh, it's not a big deal. Yeah, but these cons are actually minor and in fact awesome. For example, constantly evolving field. Yes, the field is constantly evolving, but that's what makes it exciting. Really, every day you could learn something new, and you can use it in your, I don't know, any fields. Like, for example, one day you understand that you would like to be a designer or product manager or AI engineer one day. So it's very interesting, and I think it's not cons. High expectation and pressure. High expectations mean you're working on projects that matter. Yes, your opinion is very important. Opinion of your users are very important. So it's not about making cons, but it's about your field of your work, and it's very important for the business. And you should understand that. Business should understand that, and it's like it grows. Subjective feedback. Sure, feedback can be subjective, but that's a part of the beauty of UX design. It forces you to think critically and find creative ways to solve problems. So, for example, UX research doesn't make you decisions like, okay, 2 users told us this information and we should do that. No, it's your decision, but you can do it better, make it better because of users' opinion and your own opinion. So it's more creative and more useful, and your designs, your interfaces could be more efficiencies and user-friendly. Yeah. So it's all bullshit. I think it's a cool profession. It's my opinion. Of course, it's subjective opinion, and of course, only one respondent thinks like that. But I think you could fall in love with this profession and with this field and understand that people. It's really interesting way to understand how to work and understand how your user think. So it's really good. I'm sure that it's really interesting, at least. So then I would like to advise you some bibliography, some books, some articles about UX research and about design. Then, if you haven't yet disappeared into the sunset or thrown out your computer, you're a hero, really hero. So, started to distinguish UX from UI, you're a superhero. And have also remembered a few psychological phenomena. You're officially a wizard in disguise. So I hope you'll stay with me next lessons, and of course, congratulations. In the upcoming lessons, you will learn how to conduct an audit on your own product service. So we will start practice, and practice. How to save on services with tips and hacks I'll share, of course. How to identify errors in interface and develop next steps. How to enlist the help of friends, family, and acquaintances for collaboration. So, stay tuned. And thank you. Maybe you have any questions about the first lesson or maybe the future lessons. So you can contact me, of course, and I'll try to help you and tell you more about UX. Yeah, see ya!